to make it 28-3. Arthur Blank loving it, up by 25. Toss to White. He's in! What a comeback!
Welcome back to the 28-3 podcast. We've done our best to forget about this past weekend and looking forward to the quick turnaround of the Jacksonville game in the Dome. Only our third home game of the year, and pretty critical game as far as the season goes. 3-3, we're 1-1 at home, and there's a lot circulating on this game with Trevor Lawrence's health and where the Saints stand, with the offensive line health. So it's kind of a difficult game for us to dive into, but we'll do our best. Corey, what's your initial thoughts looking at this matchup with Jacksonville?
Yeah, I mean, they're similar to teams that have worried us in the past, at least in terms of what they bring on defense. They got great pass rushers. They've got athletic pass rushers. And of course, we're coming off one of our worst offensive performances. And so, the last time we were coming off a bad offensive performance, we did well in New England. But this team we're going up against is, I think far more talented than New England. I haven't checked their numbers, their stats to see
21st on defense.
See, that's the thing. It's like I look at them and I think of them and think that they've got talent on that side of the ball, and they should be able to do some damage. But I don't know. They might be one of those teams where the stats don't tell the whole story 6 games in. Where they laid some eggs obviously this year, and all the reports I've heard is that they seem to have gotten it together a little bit over there in London. Now, maybe we'll catch them a little bit tired. That might be wishful thinking. But, I have my concerns on offense. Carmichael's got to get his head out of his ass, and we're going to have to, whatever guys are not doing the work that DeMario and Derek Carr and Kamara were talking about in terms of guys not sacrificing or being held accountable, like those guys better be doing nothing but football for these 4 days. I mean, good God, it's not even a week. Just give it 3 days to not worry about anything else, and maybe the pressure will help us. That's the only thing I can hope for. Defensively, the reports are that Trevor Lawrence is looking doubtful, I think. But yeah, I mean, as far as what our offense is going up against, they got to throw last week in the trash. I mean, it's hard to predict it.
You got to pretend it didn't happen. Obviously,
it's hard to predict it.
Max, what you think?
Yeah, I got to be honest, man. I am terrified about the offensive line's prospects going into this game. It's a limping MASH unit right now. We don't have any clue who are going to be, which players are actually going to play on Thursday.
Hard to think Ramczyk plays with a concussion.
There's no way Ramczyk plays.
Right.
If you're in concussion protocol on a Sunday, the turnaround time, and you're seeing it this year. I think only one player, or maybe not even any players across the NFL, have actually turned around and played the next week after being in concussion protocol. So it looks like they're taking it a little bit more seriously this year. And you're sitting out 2 games. So Ramczyk, no way in hell he plays. Andrus Peat, he's still nursing I believe it's a groin injury. Hurst, he's going to be out from all indications. So Cesar Ruiz, we know we can count on him to play. Eric McCoy, we can count on him to play. And then Penning, who was recently benched for about a quarter and a half. So
now cemented as a starter for probably a few weeks.
Yeah, so this is gonna be intriguing. Man, I have no inkling what the starting lineup's gonna look like on offensive line. Yeah. And as we've touched on multiple times, this team is only gonna go as far as the offensive line takes them. And I don't have faith that the offensive line is going to take them very far other than backwards on their ass. Running game wise, again, when there's no holes, you can't really expect anything out of them. I know the announcers yesterday or the other day were harping on, Jamal Williams could possibly be back this week. What the hell does that even matter when the offensive line can't block for Kamara?
Yeah.
Like, Jamal Williams is not going to make a shred of difference. He was averaging 2.7 yards per carry on around somewhere between 25 and 30 carries, going into his injury. So you can't expect him to make a big difference. There's not going to be a real spark there. Wide receivers, these guys are going to have to run the right routes, because Carr's going to have minimal time to pass this week. So there's going to have to be some quick passes. I'd love to see the return of Slant Boy. He's the most dangerous player in the league when it comes to slants. Talking about Michael Thomas, let's utilize it. What's the best thing when your offensive line's banged up? Do some quick hitting plays, do some screen passes, do some just swing passes to the running back, quick slants, just quick hitting plays. Don't ask your receivers to run 30 yards down the field and expect the offensive line to hold up. They're just not going to.
Much less all of your wide receivers.
Yeah. So, and to expect them to do that is just pure insanity.
To Corey's point, I think was Trayvon Walker's first round pick, right?
Yeah.
So you've got Josh Allen, Trayvon Walker, Clavon Chasson, 3 first round picks rushing the passer against our line, who
former
is
number 1 pick overall too.
Yeah.
Yep. Josh Allen has 7 tackles. Yeah, he's the best.
One, yeah.
He's the best. But three guys with that type of talent going against a line that wasn't good to begin with, and we're now, 60% second team based off of what we thought our first team was last week. That's a tough matchup because their weakness is against the pass. And are we gonna is Carr gonna have time to pass against a weak secondary, or this year so far a weak secondary? I think they're allowing 250 plus a game through the air. Like we said, with their 21st ranked defense, but they're worse against the pass, I believe. And we might not be able to exploit that. That's a little bit troublesome for me. I think Max has it right. If we're trying to do anything downfield, it's a mistake. Other than maybe Shaheed on a go, just to try and keep the safeties honest, just to open up stuff underneath with the tight ends and Mike.
Because when Carr hits his third step on a 3-step drop, if Shaheed's on a go, you can get 40 out of that. I mean,
throw it.
He couldn't throw it far enough for Shaheed last week because, it wasn't Carr's fault. Shaheed just outran the ball.
He was getting hit. He was getting pulled back. I mean, to your point, you don't need 5 seconds for Shaheed to get 40 yards down the field.
Right. And
I think the biggest thing is just know what you're dealing with here. Don't have slow developing plays. You just can't do that this week. This has to be quick hitting. There has to be a focus on what we're doing.
Yeah.
So I think, if I hate to say it because with the offensive line as banged up as it is, it's not a fair indictment on any offensive coordinator, but it's the nature of the beast, the way Carmichael's been going the last season and this season. He's going to get the scrutiny if and when we do not perform offensively again. And as I touched on the last episode, this mini bye that we have coming up would be the perfect time to make a change in play caller if they feel so inclined.
Yeah. For me, it just comes down to don't set yourself up for failure.
Correct.
If you're Carmichael, because it has to start with him. And again, I'll go back to it. We can say we want about DA. He's not going anywhere during the season.
So say what you would do as Carmichael. What's your game plan for this game? What's it look like play calling wise, scheme wise? Because this is going to be a game we need a game plan.
You throw more to the seam. I know we've talked about it, and a lot of people it's popular just to say more middle of the field, and it's not necessarily that it's the middle of the field where guys are just going to come open, but you contribute to setting yourself up to fail when the only options are on the perimeter because failure for this team. Now, if we had a great offensive line, then the perimeter would be great, but we don't. So what happens when you have guys on the edge of the field is that it takes time for Carr to see one side of the field, and then, as has been the case, he has not had time to then look to the other side of his progression. So it's like it doesn't do you any good if you're putting 4 wideouts out there, or if you got even 3 and a tight end. And everyone's like, we're so talented at wideout. Well, the way we're blocking on O-line, half the field is taken away when all the routes are on the numbers or at a minimum outside, like between the numbers and the sidelines. So give them the opportunity to get the ball out fast, which would be slants, Michael Thomas, which would be a crossing route from Olave, which would be not a total run out into the flat with no blockers from Kamara, but send Kamara on, a little tight swing pass, maybe a wheel route, stuff like that. I mean,
quick hitters.
What's Jawan's situation?
He's there's no real clarity on it, but I would guess he does not play this week.
Yeah, he was a DNP. But I mean,
I hear you say seam, and that's what I think of.
Well,
and the problem is
we have a guy who can do that. His name is Foster Moreau. Like, put him in the seam. Stop running Taysom on tight end routes. I'm not saying don't use Taysom, but use Taysom on Taysom plays. I mean, just do with what we've seen. What works for this offense? We've seen the types of.
Have.
Well, but it's only come in such short spurts. We haven't seen it a consistent. Yeah, but it also goes back to this. It goes back to consistency. It's just we have not put two games together that look great. We don't even put two offense. It's rare to see two offensive play calls or plays run that look great. Even our drives where we have scored touchdowns, the drives themselves have been roller coasters. They've been like microcosms of the whole season. It's like, just when you do something good, just do it again. That's all I'm asking.
Yeah, and one more thing I forgot to mention, Landon Young is also nursing an injury. He was a quote-unquote DNP for the practice on Monday. So
yeah,
he didn't play last week, though, did he? He was out this weekend.
I think he was, yeah. So we gotta look at that as well, because he's one of the primary backups at tackle. So that's why we saw Cesar Ruiz slide over to right tackle on Sunday, and then you saw Nick Saldiveri go into right guard.
Yep. So
that's. Dude, it looks dicey on the offensive line. Like, it's worrisome, man, especially with Josh Allen on the other side and the other first-round defensive end / edge rushers, whatever you want to call them, that they have on their defense. It's going to be tough, man.
You have emergency quarterback situations. There's the new rule and everything. We might have to go into an emergency game plan where you're playing Taysom Hill and not Carr, just because there ain't it's your only option. Like, just you're lining up and just running Navy's offense at this point, because Carr's not going to have time to drop back and do anything at all.
I agree.
And you're going to get him killed.
There's no way they're starting Taysom.
They're not going to do it, start him. But like, if it's second quarter and you've dropped an offensive lineman and you're just the backups that you have who are just so far down the depth chart are just like letting guys like Trevon Walker through to Carr. Good Lord. I mean, just put Taysom in at that point. Give Carr the week off. Concede it.
No, don't do that.
We shall not concede.
No, they won't do
Corey.
that.
Well,
they not concede the game, but just the game plan.
Carr won't allow that either. He's too much of a competitor.
Yeah, he'll run it himself before he lets that happen.
Yeah. If we were healthy, this is probably a decent matchup for us with the receiving core versus that secondary.
Yeah.
We're not healthy, so this is a struggle. I think we wanted a Pete Carmichael make it or break it game. If you can scheme out of this and score 23 points and win this game with that offensive line, because we know it's going to be a rough unit no matter what. We know Ramczyk's going to be out. Pete's probably out. Hurst is out. This is going to be a rough starting offensive line. And if we catch one injury in that game, Jesus Christ, I don't even know. There's people I've never heard of.
I mean, like J.P. Holt's going to play tackle.
Taysom's going to be playing left tackle. It's
I would actually love to see that.
It'd be funny.
I bet you he could.
I mean, he would
throw
slow
like
him down.
A couple, not the illegal low blocks, but he'll probably go low a couple times. Take guys' legs out. I mean,
I trust him more than I trust Penning right now.
If this game is not another one that is insanely difficult to watch, I'll be.
It's going to be a miserable game to watch. I'm telling you right now. There is no way.
Yeah.
There is no way this is an offensive breakout game. There's just no way.
Yeah.
And I'm not blaming anyone for that. We need to find a way to manage this game to try and win it. 3-day turnaround and no offensive line. I think we have to be smart. I agree with both of you in the short routes. We're going to have to pound the run, and we're going to have to punt the ball. We need to not turn the ball over, and we need the defense to just dominate this game.
Offense has to take what the Jags defense gives us. I think, it might have to get downright gimmicky to an extent. Like just trying so hard to get the ball out fast.
I mean, Headley's not punting it far anyway. Just fake it.
I'll honestly look, if it means
Saints ran 6 fakes.
Well, I mean, like we said, we moved the ball to the 20s. Like maybe they're just gonna, if they just practice nothing but red zone this week, that's fine.
I agree.
But anyway,
if you flip it to the other side,
yep,
especially with Lawrence. If Lawrence doesn't play, I don't know that I'm worried about anything on their offense. Calvin Ridley's given us fits over his career with Atlanta. He's killed us.
They got talent.
They have talent.
They do have talent, but they're not very efficient in the pass game. They're a marginal offense. I think they're 13th or 14th in yards. Etienne has had 2 really good games back to back, and he's got the bust long run ability, which we know we've given up a couple of those.
Max loves him some ETN.
Yeah,
love him
when he's not playing us.
That's
anyway.
Louisiana boy.
He is coming home for his first game in the Superdome since the first preseason game, his rookie year, when he hurt his foot and missed the entire year.
Also, a small world shout out to Lizzie. Her family, her mom grew up in Jennings, Louisiana, which is where ETN's from. So he's the pride of Jennings High football. Been there several times.
Went all the way to Clemson. Now his brother's playing.
You know, I'll put it this way: having been there a few times, it is a really, really small town that he comes from. It's impressive to think when you go. I even saw some Jags flags flying like a couple streets off the.
We can
the
root
main
for him
drag.
not on Saints week for it.
It's pretty cool. I do. When it's not.
No, I love him. He's one of my favorite non-Saints. Been on him since he was a freshman at Clemson, and
he's an explosive guy.
Wish him all the best in any game but this one.
Yeah.
But the reality is, you can have him bottled up, for the first 12 carries, and it's not. I'm not. I know Nick's going to lose his mind when I say this, but I'm not saying it's the Barry Sanders-esque, but it's like broke man Barry Sanders-esque in that he could take one play and go 80 yards in an instant, and it changes the entire narrative of what his game was up
I'm
until
gonna call
that
it
point.
Napoleon Kaufman-esque.
That's probably a better analogy.
At any moment, it could be 80 yards, and you don't see it coming.
You want to help out the millennials with that reference?
Oh, come on, you Dub. He quit early in his career after 5 or 6 years playing for the Raiders. He was a home run back who one cut and was gone. No one's catching him. Kind of the predecessor to Chris Johnson is what I would say. Is what Napoleon. He retired to become, I think, a preacher. Is that right? Something like that. Retired in his mid-20s. Was an explosive running back.
I believe you.
Dangerous. And I feel the same way about Etienne. I think he's a better all-around running back than Napoleon Kaufman was, but he'll grind out those yards too. But the point is, on any play, he can take it.
Kaufman.
Oh man, he was something.
He was
else.
something, dude. I'm telling you.
That one escaped me because
y'all all YouTube that when you get home.
I love the running back.
And look, he was a smaller guy, 5'9", 185. Etienne's actually got some size, but it's the same principle in that all it takes is that one carry and it's an 80-yard touchdown.
But I mean, that one cut and just gone. Kind of like Chris Johnson. Barry was a little bit different than that.
Yeah, for sure.
This was just like straight line speed. If you let him loose, you're not even going to close that. No one's going to close that angle in the whole league.
Yeah, it's funny when you watch Etienne run. There was an article about it, and at risk of turning this basically into a Jaguars offensive, podcast. But his feet. He has those duck feet. And they did a whole article on it, and it's saying it allows him, when he's turning a corner, to where he doesn't have to gear down. So if you see him taking an edge, there's a damn good chance that dude's going to be loose in the secondary, and he's going to be outrunning everybody.
Like duck feet is like his toes flare out.
His feet flare out like that if you watch him walk. So it's fascinating when you hear that, and then you watch him run, and you see him take the corner without losing any speed.
So I think that's
Ridley scares me a little bit, though.
A little bit, because he's killed us in his career. But that's where the defense starts. Is if you shut down Etienne and we focus on that.
Etienne. Come on.
Sorry, come on.
Show some respect.
If you can do that, I think the defense has a very good shot. Even if Lawrence plays, they've been shown to be able to slow down. Teams have slowed down Ridley with no problem. Now most of them are doubling him and letting Kirk do his thing. You saw that in the London game. Buffalo was like,
he's their leading receiver.
Kirk is, he passed Ridley up because he's getting the double coverage.
Not a whole lot of yards.
Well, they're all in like the 40 catch range in around 300 to 350 yards.
400,
Yep.
So they spread the ball out really well.
Yeah, but they're not an elite pass offense either. So, I like our secondary against them. I agree with you on Ridley just because we've seen him do it to us. I remember that game in the Dome where he had like 150. I think we still won that game, but he just went up and down the field on us.
He's a good player. He's a really good player.
So I think you start making sure Etienne doesn't beat you.
Yeah.
ETN, however
There
you want to
go.
pronounce it.
The correct way.
Do
is
you,
how
you
I
have that
pronounce
good
it.
authority? It's ETN.
It is ETN.
Is that the Lafayette pronunciation?
Next time I'm in Jennings, I'm gonna find out.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, I'm
Find
just
it
going to tell
from-
you how
find
it's
it-
been
find it from-
pronounced on
from the
TV.
source.
For
You
the
don't want
last
to
8
upset
years
those
at this
people
point.
up there. I'm telling you.
No, you don't. That's why I'm not going anywhere near Jennings.
It's a great town. You should visit. Next time Lizzie and I go by, you should come.
How
No,
far
I'm
is that,
good.
How far out of Lafayette is that? 20 minutes?
From Lafayette, it's like 45.
45. Okay.
It's like
Little
almost
further.
smack dab between Lafayette and Lake Charles.
Lake Charles. Yeah.
Ooh.
It's
Yeah.
a it's
It was
a
up
it's
that
a
way.
haul. It's a haul to
Yeah,
get
yeah,
there.
yeah.
Yeah, I'm good. Laffy, I'll go hang out with Todd. Shout out to Todd Newberg. But
Oh yeah.
yeah.
I don't know if we're gonna
Jennings,
make it.
I don't know.
I don't know if we're gonna make his list this year or not. It's gonna be. It's gonna
No,
be.
he
here
will.
before
He will. If
be here
there's
before you
one
know
thing
it.
you can depend on, it's death, taxes, and Todd top 10.
No, I'm saying he'll make the top 10. I don't know if we have anything that's gonna make it.
Well, you gotta step up your game a little bit. We got to do it from the account.
But yeah.
So coming into this game, Jags are the 13th rated offense in terms of yardage. They're 21st in defense, which is the complete flip-flop of us being the 5th rated defense and the 20th rated offense. So this is a very interesting matchup, if you ask me.
Looks like it's gonna be a good matchup, folks.
Well, it would have been if we had an
Yeah.
offensive line, maybe. I think you need to turn this into one of those games we don't want to watch to win it.
Well, I,
think-
don't think they have an option because every game has been one of those games I don't want to watch
Yeah.
on offense.
But
So.
we kind of have to like win ugly until further notice.
Right.
You know, like we said, if the defense had actually stepped up in the first half against the Texans, you know,
Yeah, and
it,
look-
it would have been a totally different looking.
The one
Yeah.
drive, the one long drive with the big Nico catch on the, not the one after the fumble, after the interception, but the other one where he came on that big crosser and caught it right by the sideline for like 30, maybe 30 yards. That drive really hurt us.
Yeah.
We gave up the touchdown there. If we hold that to a field goal, I feel that's a almost perfect defensive performance, because then you're talking about 16 points versus giving up the 2 touchdowns. Both, I think it was their only 2 chances in the red zone. They gave up touchdowns. That was the difference in the game. They scored in the red zone. We didn't. We haven't all year. We all know that. I don't think that starts this week with the offensive line situation. So we're going to need something special. We're going to need Shaheed on a go or on a route like he did this week, a punt return.
That was what I was about to say. We are going to need to score a special teams touchdown for us to have any chance to win
Or
this
defensive. Right.
game. I would say
Well-
probably defensive to win this game.
I'm okay with not scoring a defensive touchdown because that would mean that whoever caught it got down immediately instead of fumbling. Now, if it's a pick six and it's daylight, that's fine. But I'll be so.
Well,
ugh.
it was Zach Bond, who you hate.
You knew I was livid. I already disliked that.
Real quick, we didn't
That
talk
player.
about this on the previous episode, but like, why did he get so many snaps this week?
It must have been the matchup. I mean,
I mean,
Foskey
he's-
was in there a few times.
Yeah.
They must have
But
wanted.
he had like 6 or 7 tackles.
Well, we
and
talked about it
He
interception.
played well other than the fumble.
We talked about it before the season. We put him in when we run a 4-3. So obviously,
Well, he's also the primary backup to Warner and DeMario. He's the guy that plays all 3 positions,
Yeah.
in addition to being the strong side starter. So
Yeah.
he's your guy that's going to be the backup.
I mean, he was in as the Sam, at least as I observed it. Now, I wasn't like taking careful notes of the defense because I
Look, he played well other than the fumble.
It was a big one. But
yeah, I didn't see
it was a great
yeah.
pick.
It was a great pick.
It was also a horrible
Look, he
fumble.
played well. He was putting pressure. He
I was
played
just
well.
curious if y'all had heard anything on why strategically. I didn't see anything different they were doing that made me think we were going 3 linebackers, but we ran 3 linebackers quite a bit.
Yeah, I think because they showed such. I mean, if I had to guess, or from what I could observe, they showed a pretty good emphasis on the run.
Yeah.
And they got 2 big body running backs between Pierce and Singletary, and Singletary.
Singletary. Medium
yeah.
body on Singletary.
He's
I mean, by today's standards, they're
Pierce is a big dude.
Pierce is a beast, and
Yeah.
he started showing glimpses of what he did last year. He's been a little
bad
softer
this
this year.
Yeah, and so I don't know. I mean, I haven't gone back and watched the first half, but like whatever they did against us in the first half, we were falling victim to it because that was the worst by far we've seen our run defense look this entire year.
Yeah.
They definitely fixed it, obviously. So I'll have to go back and see. I didn't really.
I mean,
guess-
are you really going to go back and watch that atrocity?
I don't know if I am or
No,
not.
bury it.
I might. I very well may not.
This
But
is not.
I'm curious to. I don't know if I'm going to do it, but I'd be curious to see what the adjustments were because it was such a night and day between.
I'll go
first
and
half.
say this will never be a podcast where we're handing out actual grades for players like some of the other guys do because that's fucking ridiculous. None of us know what the hell we're talking
But
about.
PFF does such a good job of that already.
Yeah, they're basically run by a podcaster. You know what I mean? Because it's bullshit. Like this, What I love about this pod is us giving just the ground level look. Like, this is what we saw watching it on the first watch.
Maybe it's right, maybe it's not. But
maybe it's right, maybe it's not. We'll see the highlights that get shown. But I mean, I'm not going to grab the all 22.
Yeah.
None of us are qualified to do that because you just don't know the full context of it, and there's not going to be any bullshit grades coming out of this.
Well, because you never know what play was called.
Exactly.
And then what audible was made. And then what list of plays were on the audible list.
I've seen people dissect plays ad nauseum, and then it's like, you talk to Roman or somebody, and you bring it up to him, and he's like, yeah, that's not at all what the hell was going on.
Yeah, you can't.
Well, I felt that way when we were looking at, we talked about it a couple of episodes, but he's like, this guy's running a curl on the side, but they never looked to that side of the field. It was an irrelevant part of the play. So let's not focus on that.
If you go back to the failed fourth down play from last week's game where Carr threw it to Kamara and he ran immediately into the two defenders that were waiting for him, I have seen like 7 different interpretations of how what the play was supposed to be and what Carr did. So it brings back to my original point. None of us know what the hell we're talking about.
Right.
We're all just basically regurgitating what we saw in the moment, and we might not agree on it, but none of us know what the true play call was, what the audible was, any of that.
What I thought was a pretty good defensive play there.
It was very good defensive play.
We can agree on that. It was definitely a good defensive play.
I think you can at least see what the play is not. It kind of got me a little bit pissed when there were people like, why would you call a play to the flat with Kamara with no blockers? It's like, that was not called. If you can't see that as a fan, just stop watching.
Don't tweet
and that's
it.
my point.
Don't tweet it.
Yeah, don't that. It's obvious that it was a check down. I mean,
we live in a world where people are going to tweet their thoughts no matter how
he's
stupid
reading
they are.
one player. He's reading the linebacker. Linebacker sits on Thomas. He throws the flat. If the linebacker slides out to Kamara, he hits Thomas on the slant. It's a 1-2 route. It's clear as day, and it didn't work. And maybe it's a bad call. I'm not saying it's a good call, but that linebacker dropped into Thomas, and still met Kamara at the first down marker. That was a great play.
He managed to also not linger after Kamara caught the ball, because I looked at it and I'm like, there was a split second where Michael Thomas was between the linebacker and Kamara, but I just don't think that when the linebacker started running towards Kamara, I don't think Thomas had enough time to get his face across the backer.
Agreed.
And also, too, the thing you saw in that play is that, and this is an example of what I do not want to see against Jacksonville. I mean, I know we're going to have a depleted offensive line, but I mean, it wasn't a play where Carr had enough time to read the entire field.
It wasn't the play call to read the whole field.
It was the one play where there wasn't anyone running on a vertical, but the only problem is that, and yes, they ran to the
Corey,
6.
we said we put this behind us.
Put it behind us.
But what I want to, this is what I want to see for next week. Like, because we asked what I want to see. It's like, I want to see them attack the middle of the field more, but don't put everybody in the same spot. Like, stop doing that.
That has happened multiple times this year.
Like, put people in the seams, but then put the other guys elsewhere.
If you want to go follow Kurt Warner, he does a lot of route running stuff that's really freaking good on just everybody out there. Go watch his route concepts. It's awesome.
Is that
so
on YouTube?
Recap real quick. No, he posted on Twitter too. He may post on YouTube. But
okay.
It's definitely on Twitter. But he shows the concepts and why they run things a certain way. It's really good. So recap real quick on the Jags. They've played Indianapolis twice. They won both of those. They scored 9 points against the Chiefs. They got blown out by the Texans.
They played Indy twice?
Yeah, they've already played them twice.
Fast
so that's 2 of their wins.
For a division opponent.
Yeah.
That's weird.
First week, and they just played them this week. They beat them both times. To their credit, division foe. Good wins, I guess. Chiefs held them to 9, lost 17-9. Texans held them to 17 and lost 37-17. They went to London, turned their season around, beat the Falcons for us. Thank you. Played the Bills in a tight game. Bills kind of laid an egg in the first half. We're probably pretty fortunate that they work the London trip better than probably any team in the league, having done it every year. Won 25-20. And they're coming off the Colts win this week again, pretty commanding win of 37-20. That leads us to our game. And where do we stand with them? Let's give it to Corey first. Give us kind of how you think this thing plays out. Offense and defense MVPs. What you got?
Okay. I hate to do it. Or wait, are we doing scores first or
scores first?
Yeah. It's hard. I'm gonna be at the game, so I want to see us win, but I can't. I don't know. I don't think I can predict it. I'm really torn because it's like, if we play like we did last week, we obviously lose. Like, with flying colors we lose. But the
Well,
last
hold
time
on. One question. Are we assuming Lawrence?
He's going to be basically a game time decision from everything I've seen. So, take it as you want. I don't know.
Yeah.
We don't know.
Sorry.
But it'll honestly, it'll be.
Say both if you want. If you think Lawrence is the difference of this win or not this win, then say it.
I think the difference,
backup.
the difference in the game, I think, regardless. Now, obviously, their backup is far less talented than Lawrence, but the difference in the game is going to be whether or not we do or do not beat ourselves.
I agree.
That's what it's going to come down to. So, I was about to say loss, but I'm going to take this route. All right. The last time we played like this much shit, we got it together. And granted, it was on a full week, but you saw the leaders of the locker room kick in. I know this is very meta or whatever, but I think we have enough mature guys to get guys to focus this week and really buckle down and play to their best, play to their strength. I think if we have all of our guys playing at their best versus all of their guys playing at their best, I think we're a more talented team than them. I think we can beat them. So I think that's what we're going to see. I'm not saying it's going to be like our guys are going to try to play their best. I don't know that they are because this offensive line is going to suck. But anyway, I'll just get to it. I can't predict us to score more than 20. So I'll give it Saints 17, and then it's going to be a 1-point game. 17-16 Saints.
Okay.
Wow.
Yeah.
Who scores those 2 touchdowns you just mentioned?
I'm going to give Lattimore a pick 6.
All right.
Feel it coming.
Who was your offense? Did you say that?
He went straight to one of the touchdown for Lattimore. Okay, got it. And that's your MVP clearly. Pick 6 wins you MVP.
And
offensively.
Offensive MVP is going to be Derek Carr. He got the taste of the 350, but he's pissed because it was a hollow 350.
Do you think it is?
He's coming in.
What's
angry.
it look like?
He's not going to. If we do it, we're not going to have to throw for that many yards again. So, it's going to be like a 260 game, but I think his completion percentage. Well, actually, no, I can't predict. He's going to have
260 and a TD.
His touchdown.
Deep
it's
one?
going to be the way he plays, though. I think he tightens it up, gets some key first downs.
Late throw to win it.
More throws to Michael Thomas and the slants.
Who fails us on special teams this week?
God. Well, I'm going with 17, so I'm saying Groupie gets at least 1.
1 of 3,
but it's going to be early in the game. It's not going to be the game winner.
Okay,
but,
so
yeah.
I like 260 for Carr. That's. I mean, it is a weaker defensive team so far this year. So I hope you're right. I just hope we give them enough time to be able to achieve that. I agree with you where the score is going to be. I have trouble because both of y'all have picked 1 loss, and every other pick has been a win for the Saints for us this year. So we talk all this shit about how messed up we are and all this, and we pick us to win every week.
That's us being fans.
And I'm the most homer
ultimate.
of everyone because I have us at 6-0, and obviously we're 3-3.
It's just so hard to pick us to lose. For me.
Well, we're not playing anybody that should just dominate us, so it's really difficult.
Yeah. God, if we're Eagles, Chiefs, Bills, like we goodbye.
I agree with Corey in that if we lose this game, I think we get in our own way again, like we did against Green Bay and like we did against this past week. Yeah. So I don't know where it puts us. I don't like the offensive line situation. I think it's going to be very difficult to score touchdowns this week. I'm going to say... We need to get a little soundboard in here with the Jeopardy music. I'm going to say...
It's hitting life or death, bro.
This team makes it hard for us,
It's hard
though.
because I agree with Corey in that I think like we have enough passion, enough veterans that like the performance is going to be better. But is the offensive line so bad that we can't overcome it? Like even if that happens, because I think that's in play. Yeah,
if you're not motivated after what you just did, then when will you be to like get your ass in gear when all your leaders are calling you out. But then again, like the second they start underperforming, all of those bad feelings, all that negativity, it's going to be hard to keep that from rushing in.
All right, I'm going to go 20-19 Saints.
Oh, you got us getting 20. I thought you were going with a loss.
I'm with you. One's a defensive or special team touchdown. I'm going to say Carr gets one touchdown. It's to Thomas, so I'm gonna go back to Thomas again, getting his first TD of the season, and that being the only offensive TD we score. I think he can beat this secondary, and we're talking. We feel like the game plan needs to be short. Then do it.
Just simplify it.
Just make it about Mike. Slants, out routes, all those routes that he can beat any corner in the league, and they don't have the corners to guard our receivers. We can't block more than 2.5 seconds, so it better be quick, short stuff. Defensively, I'm going to stop fighting it, and I'm going to say Granderson.
You kind of have
He's been our best player all year by, in my accounts, a lot.
Agree.
By the looks of it, you may have taken Max's guy.
I'm going to call it a sack, fumble, that
safety.
No, that we recover and run in. I'm not saying he recovers it.
Okay.
I'm saying his sack fumble for a touchdown.
Granderson causes a
Somebody
touchdown.
picks it up, runs it. Honey Badger is always good for that. I think the defensive touchdown is the only way we win. Or down inside let's call it inside the 10, where he gives us a touchdown. Right?
Sets you up. Yep.
Right. So that's what I'm going to call it, and that has me with the Saints at 7-0. So.
There you go. All right. Well, I guess I will be the only one who does it. I'm going to say Jags.
Say Jags big.
No, I'm not going to do that.
It's going to get out of hand.
I'm going to paint a heartbreaking scenario for y'all here.
Max is inflicting
Groupie misses a 32-yarder for the win.
So this is going to be 16-14.
Oh, boy.
They get a safety.
No.
They're going to get a safety on us at some point.
Not to, win it.
Not to win it, no.
Okay.
But we're going to be backed up at some point, and they're going to get a safety on us. Somehow Prentice will play. It's not going to be Prentice, but
do we miss the game-winning kick in this scenario?
We do miss the game-winning kick.
All right.
This is you're well, it's a prediction, so there's nothing against the person.
And he gets
doing
fired
it.
immediately.
But this
and
is
again,
this is
hold
a
on.
death prediction.
Lest there be no confusion, I am going for the reverse jinx here.
Yeah, well,
and the 1 week that I picked against him and Corey picked against him as well is the week that we bounced back with our best overall performance.
well, hold on. Can you go for the reverse jinx if you're saying you're going for the reverse jinx?
You can.
Does it work that way? Okay, just make sure it works
Because
that
I'm
way.
sticking with the prediction. So
You can't tell everyone your wish. That's not right.
Well,
it
that's what I'm
automatically
saying.
doesn't come true.
I think I'd prefer.
All right, go ahead.
Anyway,
what you got?
16-14.
So you have 3 field goals. No, you have 2 touchdowns for us.
I have 2 touchdowns for us.
Wow.
One of them is going to be a special teams touchdown.
Okay.
So Shaheed scores.
So to me, Shaheed is your offensive MVP. I feel like he's going to get a kick return or a punt return for a touchdown. And then I also feel like he's either going to set up the other touchdown on offense with a long catch and he gets tackled at like the 5-yard line or something, or he's going to catch a touchdown. So I think Shaheed has multiple touchdowns in this game. One on special teams, one on
sets
offense.
up a touchdown.
Corey, your eyes are, what do you...
No, I'm scheming him. I'm going to...
You look like I asked you to figure out the square root or something.
You brought up something that makes me think. I'm going to throw a one-off prediction.
All right, well, hold on. So we got Shaheed as the offensive MVP, and he's also going to have a touchdown on special teams. Not sure if it's kick or punt return. On defense, I do think that the Honey Badger is going to be the defensive MVP. I feel like there's some kind of game-changing play, maybe that sets us up for that potential game-winning field goal.
Turnover.
Some kind of turnover. There's going to be either a punt return, or a interception,
or
a fumble recovery,
fumble.
or something. The Honey Badger is going to do something that gives us a chance at the end to kick this game-winning field goal.
Yeah.
Now I've been going back and forth on how long this field goal is going to be. I'm going to give Groupie the benefit of the doubt on this one. It's going to be a longer one. I think it's going to be like a 48, 49-yarder. So it's going to be a tough field goal, and it's his shot at redemption.
And he misses it, and we fire him.
He misses it. We go into basically the mini bye week.
And Cade York's your kicker.
Well, multiple things happen during this mini bye week
That
under
would
my
send us
scenario.
in
I think
shambles.
Carmichael gets the play calling duties pulled away from him, and then we get ourselves a new kicker as well. It probably won't be Cade York because that's who we want, so it's going to be somebody we're not expecting. Probably that kid that was on the team during the mini camps after the draft, the OTAs and all that. I can't remember what his name is, the Latin kid. But that's my prediction.
Damn. I was just going to say that I think Shaheed's going to throw for a touchdown in this one.
That would be fun.
It would be we're going to get gimmicky. We have so little time to throw. We're going to get gimmicky. It's a quick toss out to him. You can't sack him if he's on the 20s. He takes it, throws it to Olave, who's screeching down the field.
Well, it's clear we are grasping for straws at this point.
Yeah,
to find
we
a way
are.
to-
It wouldn't shock me. It would not shock me if I see a halfback or a wide receiver.
Let me say this, though. So looking at our next 4 games, so we've got the Jags this week. We've got the Colts with Richardson out.
But Taylor back.
We've got the Bears with Justin Fields. We're not sure what his status is going to be. I know his wrist was banged up the other day, so we'll see where that leads us. And then we got the Vikings, who more than likely will be minus Justin Jefferson.
That's 50-50 because he's due back that week, I think.
Yeah, but they were saying 4 to 6 weeks most
Yeah.
likely.
Yeah.
So
When in doubt, they're playing against us.
right, yeah.
That's right. Saints, I'm in. Let's
Yeah.
go.
But and then after that, you have the Falcons. So look, before the season, looking at the team we had, you would have thought this should be where we can make a real run. This is going to be tough, and this is the make or break point of the year. If we can't string together some wins here, you're going to be chasing whoever, either it's the Bucs or the Falcons. You're going to be
Would you
chasing them
agree?
the rest of the year.
If one of those wins is the Falcons and we come out of this stretch with a winning record, just one over,
Oh, we come out of this with a winning record. We're going to be
we're in great shape.
We're in great. Well, in this division,
In this division,
yes,
in
we're
division.
in
Not
great
not
shape.
as far as winning a Super Bowl. We all know where we stand with
Well,
that.
and time out. Let me say this: anyone who is paying any attention, I guess, in saying like, "Oh, well, the Eagles, we need the Eagles to lose, or we need the Niners," get that out of your fucking
Yeah,
head.
they do not
The
matter.
reality is, the only path
We are
for
targeting
this
the
team,
4 seed.
The only path for this team
Yeah.
to make it to the playoffs is as the 4 seed winning the division. We are not catching anyone for that number 1 seed, so stop even bringing that scenario up.
No, it's not.
And what
happening.
you're hoping is some luck in the seeding where we win a game and a wild card team beats another team. We don't have to go to the 49ers, presumably them being the 1 seed, and we get to bye that week. You're still not beating a Philly. Even if we get all this figured out, it's hard to envision a scenario where we beat a Philly or a 49ers team. A Detroit team, maybe
No.
if we get rolling. Today, no way. If we get rolling, I could see that. They have flaws. Those other 2 teams, if they're healthy, they don't have flaws that we can that I think we match up against. So taper expectations. We're looking at the 4 seed, like Max said, and hoping for some playoff luck and injuries to
You're hoping
advance.
for injuries.
Right.
Key
Well,
players.
it happened this week, so let's not count it out. It happened to the Niners last year in the championship game with McCaffrey playing quarterback. These things happen all the time.
It's
so
still-
But
I
you're
mean-
hoping for injuries, and you're hoping
Yeah.
for our injuries to heal quickly, and the players to get
And
their
no
heads
big
out of their
ones.
asses,
Yeah.
and the coaches.
It's still any given Sunday, but it's
So to wrap it up, we're desperately trying to find a way for the Saints to win this game. Special teams touchdowns.
All
Corey
3 of us
wants
will be at the game, first time this year.
Yeah.
wants an option pass with
I'm
Shaheed
not saying
throwing
I
deep.
want it. I just think it's going to happen.
We might need it. I'm not disagreeing with you. So we're hoping Trevor Lawrence doesn't play. CJ Beathard, I think we'd all feel better. We're in the dome. We all know that's an advantage. Let's go 2-1 at home and get to a winning record and look at the rest of the schedule that Max was talking about. So we'll catch you next week after this game, and go Saints.
Who dat?